Hi guys, this is Aaron with Ghost Raptor Gaming and Guns. So recently, a mod came out for Fallout 4. It's called Fallout 4 New Vegas. And what that is a complete recreation of the game Fallout New Vegas in Fallout 4's engine. So a small team got together a few years back and developed this whole thing. It just came out and it got me thinking about Fallout New Vegas and how I used to play a lot of it back in the day. So I started playing a lot of it recently within the past few days here. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a post-apocalyptic survival game, and it has 50s overtones to it. Traditionally, Fallout New Vegas has those, but it actually has a lot of Western-style undertones to it as well. As such, there's a lot of kind of cowboy guns that are featured in it, lever actions and stuff like that. And one of the guns that's predominantly featured in that game is the Ruger New Vaquero. So I thought it'd be really cool to do a review on that gun today, and I have something very special for you. Not only do I have a Talo distributor exclusive of this gun, I actually have two of them, which I'm really excited to do a comparison on, because there's a couple of differences between these models and just how they shot. So I'm very excited to do that, so let's get into it. Now, these guns are single action only. If you're not familiar with that, it means you have to cock the hammer to fire the gun every round. They're single action guns. These are in 357 Magnum, although you can shoot 38 special out of them. They have a 4.69 inch barrel, if I'm recalling correctly from Ruger's website. And these things aren't just built like tanks, okay? These are traditional Western style cowboy guns. But Ruger, as you know, really tends to overbuild their guns. This thing is freaking huge. And let's do a comparison to the Smith & Wesson Model 10, and I'm going to compare it to this a couple times. You can see that it's a much bigger gun. Barrel profile, grip, height, all that stuff. It's just a much bigger gun. So it's not like this. Model 10. This is a double action swing out cylinder. So that means that literally this cylinder swings out, then you load your rounds in, close it, and you're ready to shoot. But it is similar in a couple different regards. One of them is the sights. The sights on this gun are probably directly influenced by this gun. Now you do need to cock the hammer to shoot to not only just shoot this gun, but to see your sights. This is clear, so no worries there. But you can see these sights are almost identical. And this design is very traditional from the 1860s all the way up into the 1890s. This design was kind of popular. Here's a Nagant. It is kind of the same thing. It's a fixed cylinder gate loading gun. So you have to load your rounds one at a time through the gate here, and you have to eject them one at a time. Now, I don't know why Russia did this, but this has like a weird manual kind of ejector rod here. Ruger, Colt, and all the traditional manufacturers here in the United States were a little ahead on the European revolvers, because not only did we kind of design this gun first, but we really thought it out a little bit better. While it is single action only, it's a 6-shot 357 Magnum. It has this spring-loaded ejector rod, whereas a lot of European guns don't. So what that means is, to shoot this gun, you open your loading gate like so. You load your rounds in one at a time into each chamber, and then after you've fired all of your rounds, all 6, you open it back up, and you can start ejecting casings like that. You just simply turn your cylinder manually, and then every time you kick out the casing, and then once you're done, man, that is so cool. Every time you're done shooting, you kick out your cases one at a time, you reload one round at a time, close your gate, and you're good to go. The sights on this gun are a very traditional design. You're probably wondering why this front sight is so big. And this was designed for individual shooters to customize. So you saw the rear sight, that's how it is. The front sight was designed to be filed down a little bit at a time until you hit where you wanted to. That being said, with this newer one, my sights are right on. So when I bring them up, I get equal height, equal light, just like you normally would. Pull the trigger, bam, I'm right on target. My father's, on the other hand, still has the same front sight design, and it is kind of designed to be filed down until you hit where you want to. So he's not into really customizing his guns that much. So when you shoot this one, here's equal height, equal light, like you normally would. With this one, you kind of have to bring your front sight post up. Kind of a bit, actually. I'm not sure if that's coming through, the difference in the barrel height, but that's what you have to do. So you know how to load it, you know how to unload it, you know what's up with the sights, you know what's up with the ejector rod. Let's talk about the hammer. The hammer's got a little bit of striation on it, a little bit of milling right there. I feel like that could be a little bit better on both of these guns. Ruger does make more modern models with rubber grips, fully adjustable sights, and a more checkered, aggressively checkered hammer. So those are probably a little easier to shoot than this. But it wasn't really an issue. I just feel like it could be a little bit better overall. Now, speaking of shooting it, this grip with 158 grain 357 Magnum rounds isn't really fun to shoot with. It actually kind of hurts your hand a little bit, and that's because this gun, even as heavy as it is, with those heavier 357 rounds, it still kicks like a mule. So if you're recoil sensitive, you're not going to enjoy shooting it. It's basically at the upper edge of where I'm comfortable shooting a gun as far as power and recoil goes. My girlfriend shot this gun, and she wasn't so comfortable with it. After her first couple rounds, she was like, I don't know if I want to keep shooting it. She did anyways, and she actually did really good because these guns are very, very accurate, very precise. It has, I guess you could say it has to do with the overall shape, but I think it really has to do with the trigger, and we'll get into that in just a second. I just want to show you that this grip on my dad's is much smoother, and it's more of a traditional checkering kind of grip. That with 357 Magnums was a lot more comfortable to shoot, but with 38 Specials, both of these guns, very soft shooting, very accurate. Really liked both of them. You just kind of, like I said, with this one, you just kind of have to compensate for that sight adjustment, and you'll be right on. The trigger. So when you shoot this gun, this trigger is a traditional design. It is slightly curved, but mostly straight, and that is like all the guns from the period. And it's very light. Right here, it's like a 3.5 pound trigger pull. So it's a heavy overbuilt gun. It's very durable. It's very reliable. It has an excellent trigger. If you get a newer one, you're gonna like the sights. 357 Magnum is a little much. 38 Special is like just right. Like it barely kicks, extremely accurate. So if you're into these kinds of guns and you like the ability to shoot 357 Magnum but don't want to do it all the time, this is a good option because 38 Special is really the way to go with these guns. But if you need to, if you're a hunter and you worry about a lot of big game, if you worry about black bear, if you worry about mountain lion or something like this, you could do much worse than this gun. This gun is also made in a couple different calibers. It's made in 45 long Colt. I believe it's made in 44-40. And actually you can get this in 44 Magnum. And I don't think that gun would be very fun to shoot just because it's so much more powerful and the barrel's actually a little shorter on it. So I don't really think you'd enjoy 44 Magnum if you don't enjoy 357 Magnum out of this thing. So I think that about covers it. It's fairly quick. Let's go over to the tabletop. We'll talk about assembly and disassembly of this gun, and then we'll show you some targets for accuracy so you can get a better feel for that. So I'll see you guys in just a minute. Hi guys, so we're at the tabletop and we're going to talk about disassembly and reassembly of the Ruger New Vaquero. So this is a quite easy process. It really just requires removing the cylinder. So you just got to use your cylinder gate and then these two little pins. So you have this pin here. It's a little spring detent kind of button thing. And then you will simply push that in. And then there's a cylinder rod right here that you can see. You just kind of grab it and pull it out. So you kind of start it by using your dominant hand to push this in. And then you pull the rod. Once you have it started, you get past this groove right here. And once you're past that groove, it just slides right on out. So you just pull it forward, boom, there it is. And then you open your loading gate and push the cylinder to the right. You might have to wiggle it a little bit, but out she comes. And then you can clean your cylinder, and you can clean your barrel with a barrel brush, and then you can put some lubricant into a few of the key components here. And that's it for disassembly. Reassembly is the reverse operation. You simply put in your cylinder. It drops in place a little bit. You might have to fiddle with it. And I prefer just to close the loading gate to keep it kind of in place. And then you put your rod in, back into the front of the cylinder, just under the barrel. And then you kind of have to start it by pushing this tab back in. You can see it kind of started it for me. And then once you have it kind of lined up where you want, you can push it in and it'll kind of slide right back in place. You might have to fiddle with it a little bit. You may need to open the loading gate, that kind of thing. There she goes, right there. So now that's back in. It is locked in place. Cylinder spin 3, close the gate, cock it, function check, and you're back in business. So it's a pretty easy gun to take apart, clean, and put back together. So don't worry about that. And we'll move on to accuracy in just a minute here. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the accuracy of these guns, because I mentioned that the sights and stuff, you got to shoot these guns a little bit differently because of that. So let's go through our accuracy with different loadings and different shooters, and I'll show you what these guns are really capable of. So here I have me, Federal 158 grain jacketed soft points, 7 yards standing. That's our standard testing protocol for every gun that we review here at Ghost Raptor Gaming Guns. These are 357 Magnums. This is with my gun here. So here was my first group, was center. Actually, it should come through just fine on camera. I lay it right out, it did last time. So here we have like a 2-inch group. And then here, that's me, that's a flyer. We got this group. Again, I kind of, a little bit of a flyer here. I'm not sure if that was me or not, but you have like a 1-inch group, and then that one's a little far out. Same thing here, and this is something that you will notice about me. I've done this ever since I started shooting. I tend to put 2 really close together, and my third one tends to be a little further off. There you go, you got like a 1-inch group there with these two, and then that kind of flyer. Same thing here. That being said, once I start warming up, these flyers tend to shrink. The groups get a little bit better. So that is a pretty good group right there. And then, let's see, we have Nora here with same load, Federal 158 grain jacketed, soft point, 7 yard standing, 357 Magnum. My gun as well. Here's a good group right there. You got like a 2-inch group. This one would be like a 2-inch group. The third one was just kind of up here, just off the paper. So you got like 2-inch group there. Boom. To like a 2 1/4. This one's a little bit bigger. You got like a 2.5, about a 3. And then same thing here, about a 3-inch group. She didn't enjoy shooting this load, as I mentioned. 158 grain, 357 Magnums are a little much out of these guns if you're not experienced in shooting Magnum revolvers. This one looks like we split this target. Federal 158 grain jacket soft point, 7 yards, 357 Magnums. This was with my dad's gun, and you can see immediately Nora's a better shooter than me. You can see that. But you can see how these groups for both of us are a little bit bigger, and that's just because of the sight issue I mentioned, where you have to have this front sight higher than you would on this gun, where you can just line them straight up and shoot. So mine's a little more accurate overall. That being said, these guns are very accurate. This is me with my gun, arm score, 158 grain, full metal jacket, 38 special, 7 yard standing. Look at these groups. That's an excellent group. That's a good group. This one, not so much. The third round was right off the paper as indicated, just below the target. Again, like a 3-inch group. And then here you got a 2-inch group. So these guns, especially with this particular loading, very accurate. And I think, again, that's part of it, just because of the newer one here. As you can see, again, this is with my dad's gun. Same loading, same shooter, me, arm score, 38 special, 158 grain, full metal jacket, 7 yards, with my dad's gun. Boom, boom, boom. That's one group. Boom, boom, boom. That's a group. This one was a little tighter, and this one, again, opened up. So you're seeing, like, instead of like a 2 or 3 inch group that you get with mine, you tend to get like a 4 or 5 inch group with my dad's. Again, just because of that sight picture being a little bit different. So if you can get a newer model, I recommend the newer ones because they are zeroed better. Here's Nora with Norma ammunition, 158 grain, full metal jacket, 7 yards, 38 special with my gun. 1, 2, third one was just off the page. Look at that group there. That is all like a half-inch group, 3 rounds. This is very indicative of this gun. This is what this gun is capable of. So if anybody tells you that these guns aren't accurate, they're completely full of it. They're very accurate guns. Here's like a 2.5 inch, 3 inch group here. Same thing here, like a 2.5 inch group. Very accurate. She did very well with it. Here, we're going to talk about gun safety a little bit. This is Nora. Same loading, Norma, 158 grain, full metal jacket, 7 yard standing, 38 specials with my dad's gun. So she shot very well with it. Once we started kind of honing in and realized how you had to aim this one, she did really good. That's like a half-inch group. Again, that's the accuracy these guns are capable of with a little bit of practice. 2-inch group, 2-inch group. This one was a flyer in a bad way. This was her readjusting her grip, and she accidentally discharged the gun. And that's just because of this really light, like 3-pound trigger pull. So she went to adjust, and when she re-gripped, she clipped the trigger and fired like that. So she did that accidentally. But she did everything right. She had the gun pointed downrange in a safe direction. She was intending to shoot it, not exactly at that time, but she was going to shoot it, and it went off a little prematurely. So gun safety is a big thing here. She did everything right. So when something went wrong, nobody got hurt, okay? Really focus on your gun safety, guys. It's very important. Then we have another safety issue here, which is good. So we have, well, it's not good, but we've got good groups here. This is Nora, 130 grain Winchester full metal jacket, 38 specials. Another safety issue here, guys. If you have shorter hands, smaller hands, this gun may be a little more difficult for you to shoot because of this right here. Cocking this hammer might be a little tough for you to do. So what happened was on one of these rounds, I believe it was, she went to go shoot this one. She short stroked it. And what that means is she brought the hammer back, but she didn't bring it back all the way to lock in, just like that. She brought it like, you know, right about here, and then her thumb right at the tail end of that stroke slipped off like that. Now, if you were using like a Colt or something like that, that could be very bad and that gun could go off. But these Ruger Vaqueros and New Vaqueros have a firing pin block, and I'll show you that right here. You can see that there's a little tang right above the firing pin. So what happens is when you pull the trigger on this gun, if you don't pull it all the way back, it will not fire, and that's what happened here. She short stroked it, the hammer dropped, and that firing pin block stopped the hammer from striking the firing pin, so the gun didn't go off. So these guns, compared to a lot of other guns, especially like the Colts that don't have the firing pin block, these are much safer. And this is part of the reason why a lot of hunters like to use them. This is why a lot of cowboy action shooters and recreators like to use these guns, because they're very safe. And again, these 38 specials, period correct ammunition, by the way, is very accurate, very soft shooting. And we'll get into that a little more in just a minute. Let's just go over this target. This is me, Winchester 130 grain full metal jacket, 7 yards, 38 special with my dad's gun. And again, you can see these groups are just a little wider with his because it's harder to zero in with that because of the sight picture previously addressed. So cowboy action shooting. Here is me doing a little bit of it. This is me shooting from the hip. 6 rounds, mixed loads, 5 yards, standing. I only put 1 on the paper. It tended to shoot a little low for me, so if you're going to do this for cowboy action shooting, these guns are very popular for that. You need to practice a little bit because I only put 1 on the paper and the other 5 hit right down here. So basically, if I was aiming center of mass, I was basically shooting the guy's junk off. So practice a little bit with these, more than not at all, if you're going to do cowboy action shooting, and I think you'll really hone in on it, because that's a good shot right there. And I think you'll do very well. Price point on these guns and what I buy them is something that I missed earlier. These guns run about $500 to $600 depending on the model and the different things that you get. If you get different grips, different sights, better trigger, that kind of thing. This one was $500 used at Bullseye Shooting Supply, a local gun store that I frequent. That was a gift from my dad. This one was a graduation gift from my dad to me. So we kind of exchanged them here. I don't know where he got this one, but on the website, this runs about $600 from Ruger as a Talo distributor exclusive. So overall, very accurate guns, very soft shooting with 38 specials, a little much with 357 Magnum, very easy to disassemble and reassemble, very easy to maintain, very durable, very reliable, very accurate. I do really recommend these guns if you're just getting into the revolver game. This is good. If you're just getting into cowboy action shooting, these are good. And if you just want a more powerful sidearm, if you're hunting any kind of dangerous game, bear, mountain lion, that kind of stuff, these would make great sidearms for you. This has been Ghost Raptor Gaming Guns. I'm Aaron, and I'll see you guys at the next review.